Ushikata. I just had really good dinner. Sato-san outdid himself tonight. Um, this week, in fact, the past week or two or three, um, meals have been a little subpar. Not that I would complain. It's still food, it's still nourishment, and it's typically not, it's not really bad. Usually it's just not as good as some of the meals that Sato makes. But tonight just made up for it. There was a sort of a salad, and while the dressing did kind of detract from the vegetables, it wasn't enough to really ruin it. There were these little kind of lunch meat rolls and cheese, just straight cheese, kind of some kind of a gourmet cheese, I think. That seems to be pretty popular here. And pizza, little mini pizzas. They were very tasty. And the bread. Oh, there was this bread that its flavor and consistency just reminds me so much of a really good croissant. Like this isn't really bread. This is a croissant. It's just kind of shaped more like bread. It's flaky and buttery and light, and it was delicious. So overall, just a great meal. And good way to kick off the weekend, I guess. It's Golden Week. Golden Week started on Thursday. It's currently Friday. With the day of Showa, and I'm not sure, I'll have to look it up, but I think Showa is the name of the current emperor. And we had the day off. Of course, I always have Thursday off. I don't have classes on Thursday, just how the schedule ended up. So, that I had the day off and that campus was closed due to national holiday was actually something of an inconvenience, because what I wanted to do was take my laptop to school and just kind of chill in the library all day and do stuff online, do my homework, whatever. I didn't get to do that. Next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are all holidays, and I have Tuesday and Wednesday off. Monday not for some reason, I'm not sure why. But I only have one class on Monday, so it's going to be pretty light anyway. So, I practically have a week off now, and so this meal was a great kickoff for that whole thing. But I did have class today. There's no holiday today, we had class. And some people didn't show up. A couple of girls went on a trip to Tokyo and just decided to blow off today's and I think also Monday's classes. So class today was a little small. And I said something that amused the entire class, because we're all extremely juvenile. There's a lot of joking and banter and insulting that goes about the class, to the point where I almost feel sorry for the teachers, just that it's so unmanageable. But they're also pretty lucky that they don't speak English very well, because if they had a better grasp of what was being said, I think they would regret it. But I do my bit, but I usually can't think of anything real funny real fast, and by the time I've thought of something good to say, it's kind of past its prime and no longer worth saying. So, but today, the teacher wrote something on the board and asked if we knew what it meant. Because of late, the teachers have begun to realize that it works better if we know what these various grammar forms mean in our own language, as well as, instead of just taking, here are Japanese words, this is the verb, put the verb in a different form. You don't actually have to understand the sentence, just put the verb in a different form. That's not cutting it. So they realize maybe this needs to, at some point, go through their native language, at least in their own heads. But they currently have been finding class members who do kind of get the grammar, and be like, what would you try to translate this to English for the class? And so today we had that. Does put something on the board? Would someone translate this for the class? And what it said was, and I'm gonna try to get this right the first time. Okuchi ni ao ka do ka wakarimasen, or maybe it was wakaranai. They're the same thing, ultimately. Now, okuchi ni ao apparently is an expression meaning to suit one's taste. The subject in this sentence is kind of implied, so you'd have to hear the rest of the conversation to know exactly who it's talking about. But I, helpful person that I am, just kind of went with the literal translation of it, implying the subject that made the most sense to me. And I read, "I'm not sure if it will fit in my mouth." And then the entire class burst into laughter because, like I said, we're very juvenile. Because that is literally what that means. And the teacher, nodded and suffered through that for a few minutes, and then was like, "Okay, does anyone know what it really means?" I'm like, that is what it really means. That's literal translation. Okay, apparently there's an expression or a euphemism at work here, but that's a literal translation. I don't know if it will fit in implied subject's mouth. So I think that left an impression on the class, and if at any point they think back, in their futures, they think back to the good times they had on this exchange. If they think of me at all, it will probably be, I don't know if it will fit in my mouth. So, I have a legacy! Okay. Other things of interest. Let's see. The manga I'm working on has stalled because I can't find a good reference picture. The next panel I need to draw is just like this frantic, stylized running away that I'm sure I've seen a million times in manga. But when I actually look for a panel like that, I can't find one. It's a very particular kind of stylized running. And I could move on I could just, keep going and not do that panel and come back to do it later. But I just don't want to, for some reason. What else? The genius behind the internet review series Atop the Fourth Wall, which reviews comic books in a comedic and critical fashion, has now created a new and possibly even nerdier series called The History of Power Rangers, in which he just basically does a serious review of the Power Rangers TV show. And it's really great. I was surprised. It's kind of a silly premise, but I'm really into this new show of his. It does help that he is pretty intelligent. Probably, I feel like he's the smartest reviewer on that website, thatguywiththeglass.com. And I don't mean he is actually the smartest, he is smarter than the others, but he puts more intelligence into his reviews than anyone else except possibly Lindsay Ellis. And I'm going to stop here.